Hello, my name is Cal Burton, and I'd like to review attention as an asset with you today. So this will cover and go across a bunch of the competencies from ACGME for clinician educators, including the universal pillars, administration, education, theory, and practice, and well-being. So in my own experience, reflecting on rounds over the past few years, I find myself maybe less at the bedside and trainees more distracted. And I was thinking back to an example where I was rounding with my team and I look down at my phone and I see that my mom has texted. At least I don't think anything at first. And then I see the text pop up and it's like, well, I have a fever. So you can imagine over the next few minutes, I'm spending my time trying to figure out what's going on. Is there anything I need to be worried about? Do I need to send her in? And I look up and my trainee has gone through the first two problems of the assessment and plan. And as much as I wish this was completely isolated, this happens. We're in a world where our attention is drawn so many different ways. So I wanted to spend time today to talk with you about how to navigate this. And so what's happening? We are paying with our attention. A lot of the sites we sign up for are free. And so there's this attention economy where attention is the object of economic capture. It's extracted, packaged, and monetized. And so cognitive focus is a scarce resource that is algorithmically extracted, packaged, and monetized. And unfortunately, this cognitive focus, our attention, is finite. And now, trainee attention during rounds has been declining with smartphone distractions, EMR demands, and paging and secure messaging interruptions. In nearly all medical students, around 97% use phones during class, lectures, and meetings, with 68% classified as problematic internet users. And in a 2012 study, which is outdated, 57% of residents and 28% of attendings reported using devices during rounds, and 37% of residents were reading or responding to personal texts or emails, with 19% of residents believing they missed important information due to smartphone distraction. And I would guess these numbers have just gone up. So what is the effect on rounds? Well, this may lead to missed information, and particularly misses or near misses in patient care. There may also be a struggle paying attention to teaching. We have teaching rounds, but if someone's attention is taken different ways more frequently, that can affect working memory, and that will decrease working memory by distraction. And that may further impair long-term gains clinically, which is what we would hope over time someone develops that clinical competency. So what can we do? So I think being able to model our own care without smartphone use and our own teaching, to label smartphones and have expectations that they're only for replying to pages during rounds and potentially offloaded. Going to the bedside, I think in the age of AI, this is very important. It's one of the special parts of practicing medicine is that human-human connection. And I think it also takes us away from our devices. So I think that's a really big one for us to focus on. Making sure we as instructors are preparing ahead of time to avoid our own smartphone use or distraction during rounds, that we're keyed in and prepared to connect. And then along with that, thinking about bite-sized labeled teaching with a hook as people have their cognition or their attention pulled so many different ways. Other ideas include offloading the presenter with coverage. So when someone's presenting an H&P, the resident may be covering their pager. Active questioning in consults, making sure that because everyone's so connected, we're not just asking for help whenever without thinking about it, that learners really get those repetitions of thinking, well, what do I want to do? What do I think I should do? What does my consultant think? And so they get practice and shape their own thought process and practice of medicine. Again, moving away from computers or smartphones, particularly for our medical students, I think, avoiding reading off of the computer as an expectation for rounds. Protecting autonomy of decision-making. Again, we're so connected. It's easy on Teams for us to chime in a discussion, but it can be very helpful for our learners to get that practice in developing those decision-making skills. As best as we can, avoiding multitasking. It's a myth. It diverts our attention. And I think along with that, one way to minimize our distractions is being off pager, whether that's being in before going on pager or going off pager to focus on other demands, meet with families, do teaching, that can be helpful. So my own takeaways were, I think getting to the bedside is really more important than ever, not only because of intention, but other changes within medicine. Being able to model behavior, our leadership matters, and offloading distractions can also empower learning. And we also need to make sure things that are pages, necessary distractions, remain a time for conscious learning reps. How do I respond to an emergency? How do I triage? What's my thought process? I'm not just relying on a consultant for answering this for me. And with that, I leave you with this. We become what we pay attention to. Sue Monk Kid. And a variety of sources for my talk today. I also wanted to highlight the bolded article from JAMA, which reviewed talking more about secure messaging, but I think that secure messaging bleeds into texts and emails and Teams as areas where our attention is distracted, and I included a QR code here for you today for further reference in case you want to read more. Thanks so much. I hope there's more research into this in the medical literature in the future. I think it's a growing area of concern for us as clinician educators.